Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we help you, the dedicated UPSC aspirant, make sense of the daily flood of current affairs.
That's right. Today we're focusing on the key developments from May 7th, 2025. This is part one.
Our goal, as always, is to pull out those crucial insights you need for your preparation. We aim for concise but thorough.
And you might recognize some topics we touch on today. Think of it as a good revision, reinforcing key concepts.
Okay, so what's on the agenda? First up, India's inaugural HADR exercise with the Maldives. That's a big one for regional cooperation.
Definitely. Then we'll look at Semaglutide and a potential breakthrough for treating MASH, that's Metabolic Dysfunction-Associated Steatohepatitis.
Right. After that, the Saola genome mapping. Huge news for conservation.
Then we pivot to geography, prompted by Spain's recent power outage. Lots of key facts there.
We'll also touch on the OIC's latest statement regarding India-Pakistan relations. Important for IR.
And closer to home, the leopard census results from Sanjay Gandhi National Park in Mumbai.
Plus, some surprising news about Alcatraz Island potentially being rebuilt.
We'll also cover Iran's new Ghassem Basir Missile.
And India's new ECINET platform for electoral services.
And finally, we'll unpack the concept of Total Allowable Catch, or TAC, which has been in the news due to a U.S.-Russia disagreement.
Quite a list. So if you find this helpful, please do like and subscribe for more deep dives like this one. All right, let's jump in.
Let's start with that HADR exercise. HADR stands for Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Relief.
This was India's first joint HADR exercise specifically with the Maldives, running May 4th to 10th, 2025.
Correct. It took place at Mahaasagara Atoll, involving the Indian Navy's offshore patrol vessel, INS Sharda.
And strategically, this really highlights India's Neighbourhood First policy, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a practical demonstration of that policy, emphasizing the strategic and, well, cultural ties with the Maldives. It's also perhaps a way to subtly signal India's role as a reliable partner in the Indian Ocean.
Does it connect to any broader visions? I'm thinking of MAHASAGAR.
Yes, exactly. MAHASAGAR. That's mutual and holistic advancement for security and growth across regions. This exercise fits right in.
Which was announced recently in Mauritius.
Right. And Mahasagar itself is sort of an evolution of the earlier Sagar doctrine, security and growth for all in the region.
So it's all about inclusive security, regional collaboration, disaster resilience, that kind of thing.
Precisely. Both Mahasagar and Sagar emphasize India's commitment to being a net security provider and first responder in the region.
So what were the specific goals of this particular exercise? What were they trying to achieve?
Well, several key things. Enhancing interoperability was a big one, getting the Indian Navy and the Maldives National Defense Force, the MNDF, working seamlessly together.
Makes sense. Drills, I assume?
Yes. Joint drills covering search and rescue, SAR operations, disaster response coordination, logistical support, medical aid, the whole package.
Anything else?
Yeah. Capacity building was also important, training sessions, and also engaging with local communities to boost awareness and preparedness.
And just to reiterate for our listeners, HADR, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, is a really key part of India's defense diplomacy and regional outreach.
It is. And it usually involves multiple agencies working together, the Armed Forces, NDRF, Coast Guard, and the Ministry of External Affairs coordinating things.
These exercises, beyond the practical skills, they also enhance regional cooperation, Project Soft Power,
and strengthen the overall disaster response mechanisms in the Indo-Pacific. We've seen HADR components in other exercises too, like Samudra Shakti or AIM, the ASEAN India Maritime Exercise.
Okay. For your IR prep, definitely note how this fits into India's role as a regional security provider.
Right. Now, shifting gears completely, let's talk about medical science. There's a significant study in the New England Journal of Medicine.
This is about semaglutide and its effect on MASH.
Exactly. Metabolic Dysfunction-Associated Steatohepatitis, or MASH. The study showed remarkable results using weekly semaglutide doses.
And this is a big deal because there aren't really any approved drugs for MASH currently, are there?
That's the key point. No approved drug treatments exist right now, so this finding offers a lot of hope.
Okay, let's back up slightly. What is semaglutide? We hear the name a lot.
Right. It's a GLP-1 receptor agonist, originally developed for type 2 diabetes. You probably know the brand names Ozempic or Wegovy.
Ozempic for diabetes, Wegovy for weight loss.
Yeah.
Got it. And MASH, what does that involve?
MSH is a serious form of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Basically, you get excess fat buildup in the liver plus inflammation and fibrosis that's scarring.
And it's linked to things like obesity and diabetes.
Yes, strongly linked to overnutrition, obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome. And if it's not managed, it can progress to cirrhosis or even liver failure. It's a growing concern globally.
So the study showed semaglutide actually helped improve the liver condition.
It did. It showed improvements in liver histology, meaning the actual liver tissue looked better under the microscope, with less fat, inflammation, and scarring.
And it tackles the underlying issues too.
Seems so. It appears to address some root metabolic problems like insulin resistance and inflammation.
The implications here are pretty broad then, especially for patients who often have related cardiovascular or kidney issues.
Exactly. Since semaglutide already has shown benefits for cardiovascular, metabolic, and renal health, treating MSH effectively could offer a multi-pronged benefit for these vulnerable patients.
And just to recap, the drug class GLP-1 receptor agonist. How does that work again?
Basically, it mimics a natural hormone, GLP-1, that helps control blood sugar by boosting insulin release when needed and reducing glucagon. It also affects appetite centers in the brain, making you feel fuller.
So blood sugar control and appetite reduction. Okay, fascinating stuff.
Definitely one to watch in the medical world.
All right, let's move on to conservation. The Saola genome has been mapped.
Yes, incredible news. An international team managed to map the genome using DNA from tissue collected. Well, from remains found in hunter households.
That's quite resourceful. And the Saola, this is the Asian unicorn we mentioned earlier.
That's the one. Pseudoryx ingetenhensis, called the Asian unicorn simply because it's so incredibly elusive and rarely seen.
And it was only discovered scientifically relatively recently, wasn't it? Like in the 90s.
1992, to be exact,
Yeah.
by a joint Vietnamese Ministry of Forestry and WWF team. Amazing that such a large mammal remained unknown to science for so long.
What does it look like? Those horns are quite distinctive, I believe.
Very distinctive. Long, straight, parallel horns, up to 20 inches long in both males and females, and striking white facial markings, too.
But sadly, it's critically endangered.
Critically endangered on the IUCN Red List, yes. The 2015 estimate was maybe only 15 to 300 individuals left. Really precarious.
And their habitat is very specific.
Extremely specific. Only found in the evergreen forests of the Annamite Mountains along the Vietnam-Laos border. Think mist-covered, dense forests with unique biodiversity.
What's driving them towards extinction? Hunting? Habitat loss?
Both, unfortunately. Widespread snaring, often set for other animals, is a huge threat. Illegal hunting, too. Plus deforestation for farming, burning, habitat fragmentation, and they have low reproductive rates naturally. It's a perfect storm of threats.
So why is mapping the genome such a big step?
Because it's the first complete genome map, and it gives us crucial information about their genetic health and history. This was done using DNA from remains, which is remarkable in itself.
Did the mapping reveal anything specific about their genetics?
Yes, some really key findings. It suggests the population split into two genetic groups sometime between 5,000 and 20,000 years ago, probably due to forest changes after the last ice age.
Interesting. And human impact.
Also visible. The shift to agriculture around 4,000 years ago seems to have increased hunting and forest loss, leading to more genetic isolation between these groups.
And what does that mean for conservation now?
Crucially, it seems each group lost different bits of genetic diversity. This means their gene pools are actually complementary. If we can manage breeding programs carefully, combining these gene pools could restore vital diversity for their long-term survival.
So understanding the genetics gives real hope for targeted conservation.
Precisely. It moves beyond just protecting habitat, offering tools for genetic rescue.
Okay, let's switch continents and topics. Spain. There was a major power outage recently across the Iberian Peninsula.
Yes, affecting both Spain and Portugal. And while it's an infrastructure issue, it really throws geographical factors into relief, especially concerning renewable energy integration.
Right, the challenges of integrating large amounts of solar and wind. Let's quickly map out Spain's geography for context. Southwestern Europe.
Southwestern Europe, occupying about 82% of the Iberian Peninsula. It's the dominant country there.
Borders. Portugal to the west.
France and Andorra to the northeast, separated largely by the Pyrenees Mountains, and Gibraltar, the British overseas territory, to the south.
And lots of coastline. Mediterranean, Atlantic.
Exactly. Mediterranean Sea to the southeast and east, Bay of Biscay to the north, Atlantic Ocean to the northwest and southwest.
The Pyrenees are obviously a major feature. Any other significant ranges?
Yes, the Pyrenees are key, forming that natural barrier with France and influencing climate. But Spain also has the Cantabrian Mountains in the north. the Sierra Nevada in the south, home to the highest peak on the peninsula.
What about the interior? Is it mountainous or flat?
The interior is dominated by the Meseta Central, a huge high plateau. Then you have plains like the Andalusian Plain in the south, which is very important agriculturally.
And rivers. I know the Tagus is shared with Portugal.
Yes, the Tagus and the Douro both start in Spain and flow into Portugal. The Ebro flows east to the Mediterranean. And the Guadalquivir in the south is navigable and historically important for trade.
Spain even has a desert, right? The only one in mainland Europe.
That's correct. The Tabernas Desert in Andalusia. Small, but ecologically unique.
And don't forget the islands, Balearics and Canaries.
Crucial, the Balearic Islands in the Med and the strategically vital Canary Islands off the coast of northwest Africa and the Atlantic.
And politically, it's a parliamentary constitutional monarchy, EU member, uses the euro.
Got it. So that geographical context helps understand challenges like grid stability across such diverse terrain.
Moving on to international organizations. The OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, made a statement on India-Pakistan tensions recently.
Yes, the OIC often weighs in on issues concerning its member states. They called for restraint and dialogue, which is fairly standard in these situations.
Remind us about the OIC. It's the second largest after the UN.
That's right. 57 member states across 4 continents. It was founded back in 1969 following the arson attack on the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem.
And its main goal.
Essentially, to be the collective voice of the Muslim world. Its objectives include preserving Islamic values, safeguarding member sovereignty, and contributing to international peace and security.
Official languages are Arabic, English, French.
Correct. Reflecting its diverse membership, which includes countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Maldives, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Turkey, Nigeria. A very broad church.
How is it structured? Is there a main summit?
Yes. The Islamic Summit Conference is the top body, meeting every 3 years. Then there's the Council of Foreign Ministers, which meets annually, and the General Secretariat, based in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, handles the day-to-day operations.
And they work with other international bodies.
Yes. They collaborate with UN agencies, governments, civil society groups on issues affecting member states and Muslims globally.
And just to be clear for our listeners, India is not a member state.
Correct. Despite having one of the world's largest Muslim populations, India is not a member.
Okay. Let's shift to an environmental story closer to home. Sanjay Gandhi National Park, SGNP, in Mumbai. There's been a leopard census.
And the results are quite encouraging. The census indicates at least 54 leopards living within the park. That's remarkable given it's right inside of megacity.
It really is. Tell us a bit about SGNP. It's near Borivali.
Yes, northern Mumbai, partly in Thane district and the Mumbai suburban district. It used to be called Krishnagiri National Park, then Borivali National Park, before being renamed Sanjay Gandhi National Park in 1981.
And it's huge for a city park, isn't it?
Absolutely massive, around 103 square kilometers. One of the largest national parks globally located entirely within city limits. A vital green lung for Mumbai.
Doesn't it also contain the Kanheri Caves?
It does. A very significant historical site. Buddhist caves carved from basalt rock between the 1st and 10th century CE. Monasteries, temples, living quarters. Incredible examples of Buddhist art and architecture.
And the park provides water for Mumbai, too.
Yes, Tulsi Lake and Vihar Lake are inside the park boundaries. They're important sources of drinking water for South Mumbai. Shows the crucial ecosystem services these urban green spaces provide.
What about the flora and fauna, besides the leopards?
Rich biodiversity. Flora includes trees like teak, kadamba, karanj. Fauna includes sambar deer, chital, spotted deer, barking deer, hyenas. And it's a birding hotspot with over 250 bird species recorded, plus lots of butterflies.
So this census really highlights the possibility of urban wildlife coexistence.
Definitely. It's a testament to conservation efforts in a challenging environment.
Okay, now for something unexpected. Alcatraz Island. There's talk of rebuilding it.
Apparently so. Reports say the U.S. president has directed the administration to rebuild and enlarge the former prison. It's been closed for over 60 years.
Wow. Alcatraz, the rock. What's the history there?
It's quite a story. The island was sold to the U.S. government in 1849. Site of the first Pacific Coast lighthouse, became a military post, then a military prison by 1861.
And then a federal prison.
Yes, the Army left in 1933, and from 1934 to 1963, it served as a high-security federal prison for dangerous inmates.
Famous for being inescapable.
That was its reputation. Very secure, and the bay currents made swimming escapes incredibly perilous. It had over 330 cells that usually held fewer than 260 inmates.
Why did it close in '63?
Primarily cost. Maintenance was extremely expensive. It later became part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area in 1972 and is now a major tourist attraction.
So this rebuilding directive, it's a real curveball, raises a lot of questions about its future use.
Absolutely, a very intriguing development.
Let's turn to defense tech now. Iran has unveiled a new missile, the Ghassem Basir.
Yes, another development in Iran's missile program. This is described as a new medium-range ballistic missile, or MRBM,
Ring.
purportedly designed to hit targets over 1,200 kilometers away.
Any details on its features? Size, materials?
It's said to be about 11 meters long, weighing around 7 tons. Reports mention a carbon fiber composite airframe that could reduce weight and radar signature. Carries about a 500-kilogram warhead.
Solid fuel.
Yes, solid fuel propulsion. That means quicker launch readiness and easier storage compared to liquid fuel. And it's fast, reportedly up to Mach 12.
How is it guided?
It apparently uses a thermal imaging sensor, basically heat-seeking for the terminal phase. And it features a maneuverable re-entry vehicle, or MARV.
MARV, that helps it evade defenses and improve accuracy.
That's the idea. Designed for reduced drag, lower radar visibility, and better efficiency. It's reportedly launched from mobile telos, some disguised as civilian trucks.
So another step up in capability for Iran's missile forces.
It would seem so. Focus on range, accuracy, survivability.
Okay, back to India. The Election Commission, ECI, is launching ECINET. What's this all about?
It's a new single-point digital platform. The aim is to streamline all electoral services for everyone involved: voters, officials, parties, civil society.
A single platform, so integrating all those existing ECI apps.
Exactly. It's going to bring together and sort of reorient over 40 existing mobile and web apps.
Like the voter helpline app, CV Gel, Civita, all those.
Yes, voter helpline, voter turnout app, CV Gel for complaints, Civita 2.0 for candidates, ESMS for seizure management, Saction for voters with disabilities, the KYC app. They'll all be folded into ECINET.
The benefit being simplicity. One login, one place to go.
That's the core idea. A better, simpler user interface and user experience. No more juggling multiple apps and logins. Easy access to electoral data and services on desktop or mobile.
How are they ensuring data accuracy? That's crucial.
The ECI states that data will be entered only by authorized ECI officials.
Yeah.
And importantly, if there's ever a conflict, the official statutory forms will always prevail over the app data.
And it operates within the existing legal framework representation of People Acts, etc.
Correct. It's all aligned with the RPA 1950 and 1951, electoral rules from 1960, conduct rules from 1961, and ECI instructions.
Who stands to benefit most?
It's designed for pretty much everyone. Nearly 100 crore electors, plus the entire election machinery. BLAOs, BLLAs, polling staff, AROs, EROs, DOs.
Sounds like a significant move towards digital governance in elections.
A major step, yes. Enhancing efficiency, transparency, and accessibility.
Okay, finally, let's discuss Total Allowable Catch, or TAC. There was a U.S.-Russia dispute that brought this into focus.
Yes, highlighting both geopolitical and environmental aspects of fisheries management. So what is TAC?
It's basically the maximum amount of a specific fish species that can be legally caught from a certain water body within a set time period.
Right. It's a core regulatory tool for sustainable fishing.
The main purpose is to prevent overfishing, obviously.
Exactly. To ensure the fish stock remains viable long-term, maintain the population, protect marine biodiversity, safeguard livelihoods in coastal communities. It's a science-based limit to prevent resource collapse.
Does India use TAC explicitly? Or something similar?
India implements something that functions similarly, the seasonal fishing ban. It's effectively a TAC of 0 for a specific period.
Ah, the 61-day ban during the monsoon breeding season?
Precisely. It runs for 61 days annually in India's exclusive economic zone, the EEZ. The timing varies slightly between the east and west coast to match breeding seasons.
East Coast is April 15 to June 14, West Coast June 1st to July 31 generally.
That's the usual pattern, yes. Aimed squarely at protecting spawning fish and allowing stocks to regenerate.
So TAC, or measures like India's seasonal ban, are essential tools for sustainable fisheries management set by national authorities or international bodies like FAO or RFMOs.
Correct. It's all about managing exploitation to ensure the resources there for the future, benefiting both the ecosystem and the people who depend on it.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive for today, part 1 of May 7th, 2025. We've covered a lot of ground: HADR, health science, conservation, geography, IR, urban wildlife, defense tech, digital governance, resource management.
A real mix. But as you prepare for UPSC, notice the connections, how international relations impacts defense exercises, how science impacts health policy, how environmental concerns shape regulations like TAC.
Absolutely, it's all interconnected. It makes you think about that balance between development, security, and conservation, doesn't it? Something to mull over, perhaps. How effectively are global mechanisms like TAC or regional efforts like HADR actually managing shared resources and challenges in an increasingly complex world?
A good question to ponder. We hope this discussion has given you valuable insights for your UPSC journey.
If you found this useful, please do like and subscribe. It helps us keep bringing these analyses. We'll be back soon with more current affairs deep dives.